Hey Nation, what is going on? We are here with none other than Sy Montgomery, author of New York Times bestselling book, Soul of an Octopus. And I feel like your family, you're coming home and you're just saying hi to all of your family members here. And so I'm going to share this into our Facebook group so everybody can start tuning in. But I guess while they're tuning in, Sy, tell people what got you interested or fascinated with the octopus.
Well, probably the very same thing that interested you all. I've been to aquaria and seen lots of fascinating animals, but boy, when you go past that octopus tank, there's someone who's looking back at you, and you very much get the feeling that the animal is as interested in you as you are in them. So for many years, I've written more than 20 books all about animals, but I'd never really come out and explored the issue of consciousness in animals as the actual subject of the book. Well, who would be a better vehicle for this than trying to connect to the mind of a marine invertebrate? Most animals are marine invertebrates, and I had never really explored these creatures at all. The octopus offered the perfect vehicle for something that I've dreamed of doing for years.
And we already have people pouring in and sharing their love for you. You have
Oh,
you have Hillary Crane that says, "Hello, Sy, your book filled me." Let me make this a little bit smaller. I was messing around with the settings yesterday, so forgive me, guys. Your book filled me with joy. It broke my heart and forever confirmed these creatures are beyond special. Such a treat to hear you firsthand. Thank you.
wow. Wow. Thank you. That makes me feel great.
So,
Oh my God.
as people are tuning in, definitely ask your questions live. We asked the nation to fill the comment section with their questions yesterday. And so I have some questions for you here. But for those of you who are tuning in live, definitely hit that heart button in multiples of 3 and and ask your questions definitely down right here. So one of the first questions that we got was from somebody who said, is it possible for the octopus to bond with humans?
I think, goodness, I have great evidence of that. I mean, the fact that the animal who's plastered to one side of her tank sees you and comes rushing over, turns bright red with excitement, and then reaches up with her suckers to cover you with her sense organs to taste you and feel you and greet you. I mean, gosh, that's pretty definitive evidence for me that that animal is happy to see you and cares about greeting you.
For sure.
I mean, gosh, I don't even have friends that are that happy to see me in the human world.
Just more people. The thing about Sy Montgomery, and I think the gifts that you gave to the world, is every single time somebody mentions or I mentioned you on our Facebook group or on our page, we get these long novels of how much you have just inspired people's lives, and especially people that are currently going to school or haven't gone to school yet. We have somebody right here that mentions, "Hello, Sy, your book made me discover what I wanted to do with my life, and now I'm doing a PhD in octopuses, all because of your book. Thank you."
Oh, great. Fabulous.
So it's just, yeah, it's incredible. Let's see. Whose idea was it to do the flip book in the corner of your book?
That was the publisher's idea. My editor, Leslie Meredith at Simon & Schuster, as far as I know. It was not my idea. And in fact, a lot of people don't even realize that is a flip book. So I'm so glad that you figured that out. It's so fun to see the octopus move like that. I loved it that they would decide to do that. And they decided it way late in the publication process. A lot of people don't realize that the author doesn't know, as the publisher doesn't know until pretty late, whether you're even going to have a color insert of photographs or not, or whether it's just going to be all black and white. And I didn't know until just a few months before publication that they were even going to have pictures in the book.
Yeah.
Much less that they were going to add that. So I was thrilled.
Yeah, and I remember just kind of to go back, one of the first times I'd ever reached out to you, I think when I was kind of starting OctoNation, and I reached out to you, and it was like, it took a lot for whatever reason, it took me a lot to finally reach out to you and just say, hey, Sy, I'm Warren. I have these dreams and aspirations. I want to start the largest octopus fan club. And I remember when my family, when I told my family, they were just like, that doesn't sound like a smart idea. Like, you're currently living in New York. You have this really cush job. You get to work with celebrities. You get to do this. And I was like, no, I think I want to start an octopus fan club. And so where everybody was
so
telling me
funny.
no, I remember me reaching out to you and you kind of giving me that nudge or that confirmation was all the confirmation that I needed to start that account. And so thank you for that.
Look what you did.
The reason we have this platform is a large portion because of you.
Well, it's because of you. So many 3 hearts for you, many suckered hugs and kisses for you. And what a genius thing to do. And I love it that the octopus, this creature, has stood in the cultures of around the world for connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you did. You were inspired by this animal that has inspired human beings since the beginning of time, or the beginning of humanity, to reach out and connect others. And that is so great. And also, it gives back to our octopus friends, because the more that we know about the sea and the many, many problems facing the sea, the more we know about these intelligent creatures, the more we understand that our universe is so alive and so vibrant, and that all these creatures think and feel and know, and we appreciate their intelligence. This is doing nothing but good in the world. And so thank you, Warren, for what you've done.
And definitely when I was thinking about the group and what we would stand for and just our values, I thought, how can I inject the soul of an octopus, just the way it made everybody feel, into this group in a way that didn't have any disempowering language, that was nothing but inspiration, education, in a way that made people so curious to where they would learn about maybe one species and all of a sudden, they would just have to learn about the next one and then have to learn about the next one. And then what I've discovered about people that follow OctoNation and are inside of the group is they have this ability to care about something other than themselves, right? So caring about this animal and expressing such a profound interest for the animal wires you a different way, because other than you just thinking kind of about yourself every single day and what you're going to do and things like that, you have this ability to think about the world outside of you and just the magnificent ocean. While you might not have proximity to it on a daily basis, what I wanted with OctoNation is it to really be a place where they didn't need to have to live close to the ocean to be inspired deeply to want to make a change, in the environment. So we have a question from Kimberly. She says, Sy, are you still diving?
Yes, actually, I last dived in Ecuador this past summer, and depending on what goes on with this virus, I hope I'm going to be diving again soon. Actually, I was hoping to get into the water as soon as it warmed up, but I'm working on a book on giant manta rays.
Ooh.
And they congregate in off Isla de la Plata in Ecuador, and I've got a whole expedition organized with a fabulous dive group and wonderful photographer, and we're just hoping that this works. I got to say though, I hadn't dived in a little while. I used my diving skills to shark dive in a cage, but it's not quite the same. You don't even have your fins on, but they want you to be a certified diver, because if something goes wrong, they need you to get out of the cage. So I felt pretty spastic when I got back in the water, and one single hair wrecks your mask. I mean, you know what happens. All of that happened to me, and my suit hadn't been worn in ages, and it was all floaty, so it kept soaring to the top. But I was with wonderful people who helped me, and ended up having an absolute blast last year, hoping that we were able to go out again this year. But we had a fabulous encounter with an octopus last year. It was the last day of our whole trip, and this octopus. Many of you have had this experience. Many of you who are divers and are looking for octopus. the octopus appeared to be literally leading us around. It was so amazing.
So an octopus tour guide?
Oh my gosh, I know. Sometimes they all but take you by the hand. Sometimes they really will take you by the hand. It's just a magical experience. Someone you've never met suddenly shows you that kind of generosity, that kind of curiosity. And just like you were saying, Warren, it just makes you feel so connected to all the other creatures in the earth. And it just broadens your soul to be able to connect with someone that different. And if you can connect with an octopus, think of what we can do with each other.
And we were talking about just the octopus, their eyes, and how beautiful they are. When they look at you, you truly feel like there's something going on in there. There's my favorite characteristic is those dumbbell-shaped pupils, those beautiful bar-eyed, pupils. And I was telling you yesterday, we were talking, doing the tech check yesterday, and we talked about how there are a lot of toy manufacturers that say that they make circular pupils because people won't buy them because they look demonic looking. And I thought, wow. And I was like, if we could only change that conversation to the octopus's eyes are magnificent. The octopus's eyes, they have no blind spot. They can see almost 360 degrees around themselves. If we could push that, narrative to these parents or to these people that kind of view those things, then people would be like, why aren't the pupils correct?
Oh, well, what drives me crazy is that in a lot of children's books, they put a face on the mantle. They put a little smiley mouth on the mantle. And the octopus is perfect the way it is. Who are we to think that we would prove it by making them have like a face on their abdomen? It's crazy.
And I loved what you talked about. You said in different cultures that just there's different representations of God. And so could you talk quickly about that, what you were saying yesterday?
Yeah, I learned this when I was in India researching another book on tigers. And the Hindu pantheon has lots of gods, but really the sophisticated theologians will tell you that in Hinduism there is only one God, but he has many faces. He has many masks. Joseph Campbell talked about the masks of God. And it doesn't mean that God is hiding behind a mask. Instead, God is revealing him or herself to us with so many faces that surround us. And to me, the octopus is one of the many gorgeous, inspiring faces of God, of the Creator. And to me, the creative force in the world couldn't be represented in a better way. Something so different from us. A creature that has powers that we so revere. A creature that shows us, in the words of Thales of Miletus, that the universe is alive and that there are many gods and that there's fire in the world. That there's just this incandescent force of life, lighting the world all around us. And that's what the octopus does for me.
I could listen to you talk all day, Sy. I know everybody is at home and they're like, this is just what we needed during this time, during this crazy time that's going on right now.
I'm so glad you did this. And I'm so glad to welcome all of you, all the nation, into our home here.
Yeah.
This is the office where I wrote the book, full of my, and it's got a lot more octopus books than it used to. So
if an octopus, your love for octopus, would you say, did it develop as you were visiting? Because I know a lot of the book takes place at the New England Aquarium. Did that really you grew? Your fascination only, I guess, strengthen as you spent time with the octopus there?
Absolutely. And the people at New England Aquarium also were a very big part of that book. These were people who understood that fish and lobsters and electric eels are individuals who learn things, who care about things, and who love their lives as much as we love ours. And this was, I mean, a few years, this was happening about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a wide acceptance of that concept in the public. Just a person on the street would not say that. But at New England Aquarium, the people would. They saw that, they understood it, they spent every day with these animals and loved each one and cared for each one. And even animals that we don't think about. An octopus kind of forces you to realize how smart they are because they're doing stuff. They're playing with puzzles, or they're figuring a way to get out of their exhibit, or they're taking stuff apart in the tank. But other animals have other intelligence too, and recognize it. Remember when people were saying that a goldfish only had a memory of like half a second or some ridiculous thing?
Yeah.
I mean, we now know that goldfish, particularly koi, have memories that last for decades. That sharks will remember how to negotiate a maze that they haven't seen in years. Animals, we are basically built on the fish plan. I have heard it said that humans are just fish plus time. But most people dismiss fish, this huge taxonomic group, as not even having thoughts or feelings. Well, boy, that is so not true.
And I really think in your book too, I remember prior to reading your book, just how passionate, how charismatic you are, how deeply you are able to connect and almost reframe just conversations and get us so invested, so interested, so separate from ourselves, so that we for a second can not think about what's going on in our lives and be like, oh, we share this planet. Oh, there are all these beautiful, incredible, intelligent, sentient, conscious animals out there. And I don't think until we went through the process in the book of you kind of explaining your relationship and explaining the history. I know for me, one of the biggest things in the book was that the fact that octopuses were kind of misrepresented, in Hollywood. They were misrepresented in culture. They were made to be this malicious creature. They would attack ships. Right. They would monsters. They and they kind of got this bad PR rep, and it just kind of stuck. You had Ursula from who was just misunderstood, right, from The Little Mermaid. There are all these representations of octopus in history books as like this slithery, malicious, might gonna get you kind of creature.
Oh yeah.
And after I read your book, I was like, you know what? As a kid, I mean, I read your book obviously after I was a kid, but I felt like I was misunderstood. I felt like maybe I want to control that narrative. And so when I saw that the octopus's narrative was being controlled, I thought, you know what? I'm going to change this conversation. Just like Sy has changed this conversation. Her book hit New York Times bestseller book. Obviously, it resonated with so many millions of people. How can I take what she said, the soul of an octopus, and infuse it into an online world and change the conversation that's being had about the octopus? And I think a lot of us, after we read your book, we become stewards of the ocean. We become stewards of the octopus. And thank you for that. But there was a question there. Other than fangirling about Sy Montgomery while on live, there are questions that we need to ask. But somebody says, have you read Your Inner Fish by Neil?
Oh, yes, I certainly have. It's an excellent, excellent book. And you know what he's working on next? He's writing about flies.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, I know. No, it's terrific. Your Inner Fish is a terrific book. And it was one of those books that, on every page, you, want to call up your best friend and say, listen to this. It's so cool.
So with New England Aquarium and your relationship for octopuses growing there, you interacting, let's talk about, because you've stayed in touch with New England Aquarium. You visit there every single time you're in town. I mean, you're a celebrity. That's what we call you in OctoNation. You're our celebrity. And so talk a little bit more about New England Aquarium, because I know as of right now, aquariums are closed nationwide. And so what are your thoughts and ideas of how we can support them?
Boy, well, I'm so glad that we're talking to the nation about this because, yeah, they're not getting any income from visitors, and the animals still need to be fed.
Yeah.
The animals still need to be exercised and trained. They're still doing, they're still training the sharks so that they will come up and won't have to be captured, but can have a health check.
Mm-hmm.
They're still interacting with our giant Pacific octopus, Rudy, who needs to be played with, or else she's going to get bored.
Yeah.
Edmund, he could care less. Edmund is not. He's the other octopus. He's a shy one. He's the first shy one that Bill has got. It costs an awful lot to feed all of these animals, and it's museums, natural history buildings, everything is really hurting right now.
Yeah.
But if it's a zoo or an aquarium, those animals need to eat, whether people are looking at them or not. And I'm really hoping that people who care about sea creatures will continue to support the New England Aquarium. And I think you're going to put up a link so that people can donate to our, because they're also, not only are they taking care of the animals,
Yeah.
but New England Aquarium is also protecting our blue planet. And right now, as you know, that all of the polluters are rushing in to try to use coronavirus as a way to say, oh, well, listen, let's just remove all the controls on broken pipelines.
Oh, wow.
Let's just incapacitate the EPA. The plastic bag industry has rushed in and said, oh, everyone needs to have their stuff in a plastic bag, even though the data shows that the plastic bag is going to bring home coronavirus a lot better than a nice cloth one that you can wash, or even a cardboard box. Plastic will carry home germs much more efficiently than any other material. So the New England Aquarium and a lot of these other aquariums, they're also trying to get the word out to keep protecting our planet at a time that other people are going to zoom in and try to mess things up. So I'm really hoping that people will show their love by supporting New England Aquarium and other aquariums as well. But New England Aquarium, for me, that's where it really happened. I really owe these people so much. So I'm really grateful to them.
And we always say in OctoNation, aquarists are on the front line of ocean conservation on a daily basis. They are the ones that are, relaying the information to people that come in. Hey, did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know that? A lot of stories of marine biologists, my story of even discovering the octopus came from that. I remember I spoke to an aquarist and I said, how do they change colors? How do they, how can you tell how old they are? How can you, and I asked all these questions. And for a lot of them, she'd mentioned to me, science hasn't figured that out yet. And I remember as a kid, me being like, I was obsessed. I had like alien posters, alien stickers, any birthday present. My family knew when I was like a 7-year-old kid that I wanted alien stuff. And so when I went to that aquarium and I saw that, I thought, this is as close as we're going to get, because if science hasn't figured it out, then what is hiding, or like what's, and then so I went to the library, I remember, and started learning that there are all these different species. There's over 300 species, and they live in every single ocean, along every single coastline. And depending on where they live in the ocean, they have a unique superpower, an adaptation or superpower, whatever you want to say, that allows them to live at that depth, and not only live, but thrive in their environment. And when I learned that, I was just, my whole entire life, like I've just, every single thing about them, you have the sand octopus, the blanket octopus, the blue ring octopus. You can get lost in learning about how these animals that have been on this planet for hundreds of millions of years have thrived. And so we're a blip. I always feel like we're just kind of a blip on the radar to cephalopods. They've been holding down the fort for a long, long time. So with the situation that's occurring right now in the world, you have people like the New England Aquarium that do that educate, that inspire people like me to create platforms like OctoNation, inspire. Megan Holst was saying that she was inspired to become a biologist.
Oh,
yeah, and that
made my day.
Yeah, and that there were so many aquarists, biologists, people that are studying PhD that your book was that pivotal moment where they thought, this is what I want to do. And so if and we'll put it up, or you can donate to New England Aquarium. But if you have, $5, 10, $8, $20 or whatever,
yes,
eight's a good number.
32.
But if everybody on this live, donated $8 to New England Aquarium, then they could keep feeding that octopus. They could keep feeding their animals, taking care of them.
Great.
So for sure, we have Melanie Johnson. She just said, "Thank you so much for bringing light to the Aquarius community. We're all going through a really tough time right now. But I think I speak for every animal care specialist when I say that our hearts and souls revolve around our animals."
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. And it's true. And you will be filled up with that joy, and just keep it going. Keep it going.
And we have right here, so if you have time, you can do this after the live, or you can do it now. If you go to neaq.org/give, then that's where you can support New England Aquarium. I'm repping New England Aquarium shirt today. So we're really, really happy. But write that down if you have a second, or put it in the comment section too, neaq.org/give. And we're going to continue answering questions, but just note that they need your help.
Thank you.
For sure.
That's a huge help. The aquarium is so grateful.
We have more celebrities joining. Bill Murphy says, "Thank you,
Bill.
Sy."
Yes,
Hey, Bill.
Oh, Thurber's happy.
Thurber is super happy. That's amazing. Let's see. Colin Miller says, "Favorite film that features an octopus?"
Oh boy. I'm trying to think of, well, I mean, it would have to be one of the Jacques Cousteau ones.
Yeah.
I remember one of the ones in which, the Jacques Cousteau was such a sexy guy. And at one time there were octopuses mating. And he says, "I wonder if they feel any pleasure." Of course, that's what he's wondering about. He's not thinking like Aristotle, why is he putting his arm in her nostril? But,
Well, where's the pleasure coming from?
Yes, that's right. And of course, he doesn't wonder if she is having any pleasure. There's two octopuses there, but he was caring about the male. Anyway.
So we have a question here from Jim Jones. Sy, I've seen many schools adopt your book as required reading and discussion, connecting the wonder of the octopus to ponder the nature and consciousness of intelligence that is not only human. Any pushback on the notion from others that you've heard from?
Generally, they don't bother to contact me, the people who are annoyed. I've had a few people annoyed saying, "How can you keep this animal in captivity if it's that smart?" But they just saw the book on the shelf and they didn't read the part about, they lay 100,000 eggs and every one except one or two is going to be torn apart and eaten while they are still alive. Mm-hmm. So you're the luckiest octopus ever if you ever get to be old enough to reproduce. But you're the second luckiest octopus in the world if you end up at some place like New England Aquarium with Bill Murphy taking care of you,
for sure,
giving you toys and giving you delicious food, and then you have Charlie Innes taking care of your every health need. If you have an interesting life with interesting things to do, clean water and good food, I mean, what's wrong with that? Nothing.
And a lot of what these people don't see is that, I mean, I've met aquarists that cry over their animals, that stay up at night because they think about them, that spend hours with them on a daily basis. These aren't animals that are being used. They say, oh, well, they're kind of being used for entertainment. They are loved and admired and respected and taken care of. And it's not this flippant, oh, well, they're just collecting a check at the end of the day. And that's kind of the notion that I'd like to dispel, just because I've interacted with these people. I've done interview with an octopus at multiple aquariums all over the world, and to see their eyes light up when they talk about this animal.
There's a legal fishery for these animals. Yeah. They're used legally. I mean, if they're living in an aquarium, they're not going to have some jerk pull them up out of the water, cut their legs and their arms off, and then use their squirming arms as bait. I mean, if you want to be an activist to make life better for octopuses, getting mad at aquariums is not where to put your activism.
Yeah.
So,
We have somebody says, Sy, tell us about some of your favorite octopus friends you've met that aren't in the book.
oh, well, let me start telling you about, first I'm going to tell you about Sy. I have an octopus
I met Sy.
Yeah, Bill gave me the probably biggest honor of my life. Sy was the sweetest, most outgoing, darling, gorgeous octopus. And I loved interacting with her, and I loved seeing the public exclaim, Sy is so big. Sy is so beautiful. Sy is so outgoing, which is none of the things I am.
Oh, whatever.
For me.
You can't get away with saying that here.
She was just the most loving octopus. But then Rudy, the one that we have now, female, I got to interact with her the day before our aquarium had to be shut down. I didn't know that the next day the whole aquarium in all of Boston was going to be shut down. But she is an extraordinary lady octopus. I have never before met an octopus who would interact with you for an hour and a half, and you had to leave because you had to drive back before the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had an octopus that didn't get tired. As you know, their blood, the oxygen carrying component of their blood is copper. It's not iron, and they tend to get tired before we do.
Mm-hmm.
But Rudy, she never gets tired of playing with you. She's such a sweetheart. And I'm just so glad that I had that interaction with her before.
Yeah, I was just I just did a live with Megan Holst from Aquarium of the Bay, and she had the octopus there, Octavia, and that octopus just stayed up and was just hanging out. Every now and then it would go back in to take a breath, but then it would be right back up to say, hey, what's going on? And it was so fun because we got to teach the anatomy of an octopus on a live octopus. So that was really, really fun.
Right.
But yeah, so when we talked about that, octopuses, they have short-term memory, they have long-term memory. Depending on their life experiences, really shapes their personality in the world. And so me and Sy were talking about this earlier, but that you never know if one's going to bond with you. We were just having that conversation because they're so individualistic. They have personalities. So do you want to talk about that real quick?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like a person, you could say, well, how long does it take for you to make a new friend? Well, it depends on the friend. Oh, I see one of your dogs back there.
Well,
hi, sweetheart.
Come here, Walt. But keep...
Dog. It depends on, is the octopus a super friendly octopus to start with? And hi, oh, good dog. I thought it was licking the end of the table. This is pretty great. Oh, the oxytocin levels are just spiking left and right here. I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the nation, I'm being kissed by a dog. It's like, does it get any better than this? Anyway, yeah, some octopuses just are shy. And I was mentioning earlier that our Edmund, and no one really knows why. Bill doesn't really know why Edmund is so shy. He has known other male octopuses that were very outgoing, but Edmund is not, and probably never will be. Now, Seattle Aquarium had one octopus who was so shy that they named her Emily Dickinson. She never came out from behind the filter, and they finally just had to let her go, which they could easily do because, what was right outside the aquarium? Mm-hmm. The Pacific Ocean. We can't do that, of course, at New England Aquarium. But in other cases, just like with people, I think that octopuses just like one person and bond with one person more easily. Mm-hmm. Bill is obviously one of those people that octopuses just love. And so was Wilson Menashe, our dear friend who has moved on to the ocean and the sky.
Yeah, Will was totally an octopus whisperer.
He really was. Yeah. And octopuses loved him.
We have Elizabeth, who's an admin of OctoNation. She goes, in my experiments, octopuses love Dutch hounds.
They love what?
Dutch hounds. It's
They love...
a Dutch hounds. It's a breed of dog.
Oh, you're kidding! That's hilarious. I love hearing from people who keep these animals, particularly other species than GPOs, because it's so edifying.
Yeah.
There was a wonderful account. I think, oh gosh, the author of the book is escaping me right now, but her first name was Nancy, and she, I forget where this happened to her. She was just reporting in her book, but this octopus really liked human company, and there was a device in the aquarium tank, the home aquarium tank, that was held on by a magnet. And when the octopus wanted company, the octopus would just yank the magnet off the inside of the tank, which would cause the other object to fall off the outside of the tank. And the person would come rushing in to be with the octopus. So it was just like ringing a little bell, for the servant to appear. It's like, we're ready to see you now. The octopus will see you now.
And there's this famous, it's like this commercial. You can look it up. I think it's on like YouTube. But that Sony, they had this campaign where they taught an octopus how to take a picture of a camera. And so like there was kids in the front, and an octopus would come and like press the camera and take a photo of them and then swim away. So that was a fun one too. We have Kimberly, who mentioned Sy. Any weird pets at home right now to make your husband roll his eyes? Winky face.
I wish. No, actually, we're just down to Thurber, our border collie right now, our chickens. Unfortunately, the last remaining chicken lives up the street with my friend Julie Brown, because we had just too many visits from predators. And one day, a year ago fall, I just went to check on my ladies before going for a book signing, and a weasel had killed everyone except for her. And I just had to. Now she lives up the street, and I can still visit her. But that's that. And what's too bad right now, I'm working on 2 books. I told you, well, actually, I'm working on 3 books because I'm working on the giant manta ray book, but I'm also working on books of turtles. And I'm working with my friend, the wildlife artist, Matt Patterson. Well, Matt has a lot of animals. And his wife, Erin, who's a lovely person, and who actually caused their last dog to come home with them while they were like having a drunken St. Patrick's Day celebration. She kind of lives in fear that he's going to bring home another herp or another some kind of spiders or scorpions or something like that. And so she and Howard have had that discussion, like, don't let them near a pet store together.
We have a lot of people that say, Sandy says, Sy radiates goodness and light. She really does. Every single time I talk to her, I'm just like, you guys have seen me during this whole entire live. I'm just like beaming and smiling. Elizabeth, she has been a keeper for over a decade. She said, too bad Sy never met Anya. She never tired. She had an octopus there. Let's see.
I wish I had.
And then, let's see. Jacqueline says, I only just found out about your book through OctoNation event, but it's going in my wish list straight away.
Oh,
yes,
great.
We need to keep the Solvent Octopus #1. So it should just be consistently a #1 bestseller all the time. If we could do that, that would be great. Let's see. My favorite octopus story. Ooh, this is a good one. I wonder if it's all going to pop up on the screen now. Ooh, it's a long one. Ooh. I don't know if I can read it all. Let's try. My favorite octopus story. I used to work with a 45-pound giant Pacific octopus named Sticky McSuction Cups, and she was a powerhouse of sassy cuteness. One morning, she came up to the beach area of her exhibit to splash, play with toys, and touch fun textures during our enrichment session. As soon as she greeted me, she laid back and opened up her arms real wide and made 8 arms and hundreds of suction cups dance along the surface of the water. She was wiggling, jiggling, and changing all kinds of fantastic shades of red. I was completely hypnotized and ecstatic at her display for several minutes. When something strange caught the corner of my eye, while Sticky was distracting me with her movements, she had snuck a single arm up on the ledge of the exhibit several feet to my left, wrapped it around the food container, and was slowly dragging it into the water. She was literally distracting me so that she could steal her food
Look over there.
and get to it faster. And not a day goes by that I don't remind myself that I was outsmarted by an octopus.
Boy, what a great story. It's beautifully told. Oh my God.
Melanie, you we're counting on you to write this next octopus book. So
yeah, you bet. That's
we need
great.
a lot more octopus books on the shelves, especially with beautiful writing like that. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah,
And stories like that literally change the way people view the octopus. Even the imagery, and I can see it because I've seen an octopus of all those suction cups.
Yeah, you totally know that.
Yeah, of all those suction cups.
I love when they do that. I love when they just go upside down like that.
Yeah, and we had
that happen too. I tell about it in the book. We had an octopus. It was Octavia actually, and we had like 6 people all around the tank, and we were watching her change color, and we were like giving her a fish, and we were petting her, and we were just lost in the sensation of this beautiful creature. And while we were all not just watching her, but touching her, without our realizing it, she stole the bucket of fish.
So yeah, I mean, that is such beautiful writing. So Melanie, definitely keep writing and keep telling the world about
absolutely.
your affinity.
I want to see that book.
Yes.
That you're gonna write.
Warren, please repeat the donation address. I have a pencil now, and we'll add it to the comment section. Let me go get that address really quickly. It is right here. So neaq.org/give. So there you go.
Okay, is it give or gift?
Give, G-I-V-E.
Give. Okay,
yeah.
G-I-V-E. For those of you who do the manual alphabet, which octopuses would do beautifully.
Yes. Hillary Crane says, we need a series of short stories as told by aquarists working with octos. Yes, that's great. That would be great. And
that would be great.
And OctoNation,
that would be great.
And OctoNation could totally facilitate something like that. The cool thing about our community is, we're a sustainable ecosystem, right? So, I mean, if you reach out to me, if there's anybody out there that, crafts, that's an artist, that, does anything, we have this community that the only thing with that is if you do sell, and this is what I tell the artists that are coming into OctoNation and showing off their work and selling into our community. OctoNation is a nonprofit as well. Our mission is to inspire conservation of the ocean by teaching the world about octopuses. And we hire writers like, Chelsea to, currently we're working on OctoNation.com, which is going to be the first comprehensive field guide for octopus species, written in a way that's informative, it's fun, it's easy to read, and you don't have to go to 30 different sites to learn about the vampire squid or your favorite cephalopod, right? And so that costs money. And so if you're going to come into the community and you're interested in selling, definitely consider donating a portion of the proceeds back to our nonprofit. That's all I ask. And so there's some people who reach out to me and they're like, hey, I just want to let you know that we've sold stuff in your community and I want to donate to the nonprofit. I totally love and respect people for doing that. So yes. Richard says, has anyone tried sign language with octopuses?
Boy, I think they've got their own sign language, don't they?
It's fascinating to consider.
They've got their color language. That's what I would love to decode. Oh my gosh. I think, I love that we have been able to teach sign language to a number of animals. I mean, American Sign Language can be spoken by chimpanzees and gorillas, etc. Other animals, cetaceans, for example, pinnipeds, have learned other kinds of sign language when you show them, a dot, a square, and so they have learned that kind of language. Mm-hmm. I would like to learn the language that the octopus is already
I think
using.
we all would. Andy Baker says, "What's the one thing you have each learned that most surprised you in your work with the octopus?" I'll let you go first, Sy.
Oh, the thing that most surprised me. The thing that most surprised me was just how eager this alien animal was to make friends with me.
Mm-hmm.
That still absolutely stuns me. How about you?
I would say, I mean, I would say the diversity of the species, the diversity of the octopus. Most people, they think of the giant Pacific octopus, and I would say that the giant Pacific octopus is one of my favorites only because it's the one that I've had the most personal interaction with. But I will say that over the course of, founding OctoNation and writing thousands of posts about the different species, that they have just figured it all out. I mean, they're out there thriving in the ocean. And depending on where they live in the ocean, you have the volcan octopus. It's called the hot water volcano octopus. And it lives 2 miles deep in the Bethnic area of the ocean, and where there's no light. And it's bone white. It has no chromatophores because it doesn't really need any there. It's blind, but it coexists with 700-degree hydrothermal vents. And so it doesn't like swim into the vents, but it coexists around it. And it's such a depth, there's such a pressure down there that the water doesn't boil. So it just gets there's 700 degrees, but the water isn't boiling because of the pressure down there. And so when you start going and you're researching these different species, and you have like Embari, and you have like NOAA with it exploring, and every single time it seems like they go out and they explore, they uncover a new species of cephalopod. There was that species that they're thinking that it takes 4 years for their octopus eggs to hatch. It's called it's like the moose octopus or something like that.
That's the octomom we like.
Yeah. But then there's like the sand octopus that it blows itself a foot underground. It secretes a mucus to reinforce the walls around it. It has like this predator-proof bunker. Then it creates a ventilation shaft with one of its arms, and it can live underground, and it can't change color. So it's figured out. That's how I can survive. That's how I can survive and thrive in this environment. And so the more and more species that you learn about, it really is, you fall deeper and deeper in love. And I constantly say, after almost all of my posts, octopuses are endlessly fascinating, endlessly. And I say endlessly because we know of 300 species, but that's all humans can really see based on what we've explored. I believe there's thousands of octopus species, and I mean, it's a storybook down there, you know what I mean? And the more we can tell those stories of all these animals, and that's what OctoNation we really try to do, is just storytell. How can we make these creatures relatable? And even though if you don't have proximity to the ocean or an aquarium, how can we get kids to be less apathetic about the ocean because they don't have access to it, or maybe they can't afford an aquarium? How can we bring the education to them? And so I would say that I think it's the diversity of the species for me. It's just endless. But Jason, I saw that, said Warren is so cute. Let's see. Adaptation is their superpower. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Mandy said that too. He said, I believe since they live, Mandy says, I believe since they live so far down in depths, they don't survive coming to higher depths. Yeah, so there could be some species of cephalopods we just don't know about because, they're not coming to the surface.
We can't get there from here.
Can't get there. Bill Murphy said, I don't know what this is, I've had a similar experience. I learned my lesson and always keep an eye on the good at all times now. Oh, on the goods. He means he's had a lot of octopuses try to take food, try to tantalize him and take take food from him.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jim Jones says, Sy, where is the most interesting research currently on octopus? Where and what are they studying?
Boy, that I know of. Gosh, you might actually have a.
I know a lot of people that are just getting their PhD or have their PhD. You have Megan Holst. She's currently studying senescence. in octopuses. And senescence is essentially after the mate or after the female, lays her eggs, they start going through something called senescence. Do you want to explain what senescence is, Sy?
Yeah,
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like almost dementia in humans. They just start kind of losing it, and sometimes they'll just wander around. Sometimes that doesn't always happen to humans, but it does happen to every octopus if they live long enough. That's what Jennifer Mather has told me.
And I call it almost like they start short circuiting. Like they have such a powerful system working, but some things like they call it. Some of them call it cellular suicide, where essentially their cells just starts short circuiting, right? It's just their life cycle. It's their end of life cycle, and after the male mates or after the female lays her eggs, that's pretty much the body goes, you've done what you were put here to do. And so they start doing silly things like swimming into the water column instead of camouflaging, or they'll won't camouflage as much. And so what Megan Holst is studying that phenomenon. And so we have her. We have Roger Hanlon. He's doing amazing work with octopus vision and kind of how they sense and see the world around them. Roger Hanlon has an incredible TED Talk. If you go to TED and you type in Roger Hanlon, you'll see the work that he's doing. But
he's the one that people will know his video.
Yeah.
He's the one that did the video of the octopus that you're just looking at a sponge or a coral, and all of a sudden it turns into an octopus.
Yeah. And yeah, I wish I could show that video to them. I'll put it in the comment section so you all can see. But so he's just fascinated with how does the octopus interact with the world? What are they seeing? Because as of right now, the way that we know it is that octopuses are colorblind. So the fact that they can project the color and the texture of whatever they land onto their skin, like I almost think of like a projector screen. Like, how you like put one of those pieces of, translucent papers and you write on it and it projects onto the board or whatever. Octopuses land on a reef or something, and they project not only the color in the display, but also their muscles contract their papilla and they project whatever beneath them. So they can not only camouflage their color, but also their texture to match that environment, which is like one of their coolest superpowers as well. Jordan Baker said cephalopods live hard and fast, for sure. I'm hoping that there are species that live longer than we know. We know that the nautilus lives 20 years. That's a species of cephalopod. So I'm curious as to if there are any octopus species that live longer than 5 years.
I think the one that we were just talking about, the deep sea species that has the babies that take years to hatch.
Yeah.
I think that one is going to have a longer. But I often wonder, like, what is the animal's experience of time?
Mm-hmm.
It seems so fast to us. But when you die at age 5, do you feel that your life is finished and complete if you're an octopus? I hope they do. I'm now writing about turtles, and so the way animals experience time is something that I'm kind of grappling with. It is very, very different watching turtles than watching octopuses.
And just like turtles, the same sort of situation where Mary says that's almost as sad as the fact that octopuses are born as orphans. The fact that they are born into a world and they immediately have to defend themselves. There are predators 360 degrees around them. And they have to grow up in this world. They have to learn through observation. A cool fact about cuttlefish, which is a cephalopod, is they have embryonic learning, which is really cool. So imagine being in your egg casing and knowing that you're alive and seeing the world outside of your egg casing and having a preference for food once you hatch because you've seen the kind of food that you've been around, or it's a fascinating thing. It's in the book Cephalopod Cognition. One of the first chapters, they talk about embryonic learning and cuttlefish. And I was just like, oh, imagine like learning and seeing the world and being
turtles do that.
Oh, really?
Turtles do that. in the egg, they start communicating sometimes with the mother,
Wow.
who will be gone often, but they'll communicate with each other because it's so important that everybody hatch at the same moment, because you've kind of got to flood the system for predators. And that may be another reason that cuttlefish need to start learning in the egg, because, like you say, they're going to start life as orphans.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you don't want, you need everybody to hatch out at the same time. You've got to coordinate with your siblings.
Let's see. Colin Miller says, does Roger still work in Galveston? He'd be a great guest too. Yeah, I'll reach out to Roger to see if he'd be interested, and I'm sure he would. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about as it relates to. Lydia says, do you know more about the shifting of color? Does this work with nanostructures on their skin like butterflies? This is where bringing in a scientist would be.
Yeah, it would really help.
They could really geek out, right? And tell you about that. I mean, I know a lot, but as far as the nanostructures and things like that, I know that they have chromatophores that are like ink sacs that can expand and contract, and that there are muscles that control that. That they have iridophores, photophores, leucophores. I mean, that all aid in almost like this kaleidoscope. This is how I describe it. So when I think of octopuses, I think of almost learning how to describe it to third graders or fifth graders, and I try to keep that and bring in people that obviously can speak. The OctoNation is made up of some of the world's best researchers, obviously Sy's in the nation, underwater photographers, artists, and so we'll definitely bring them on to talk more about to geek out with everybody. But we'll get a better answer for you later on.
Yeah, there's some real recent stuff I expect on that, far more recent than when I was doing my research.
And I know for senescence, because somebody said, I'll get it later. Oh, Elizabeth said you can watch an octopus feeding if you get a NEAQ. If you go to the blog at NEAQ, you can see them feed an octopus. That's awesome.
Yes, it's Bill, and
yeah, Bill Murphy. Bill Murphy is feeding an octopus. That's awesome. And let's see what else we got here. Any information on their pain thresholds? They have multiple brains, so does each brain feel pain? If one arm is hurt, do they all feel it? That's really interesting.
Wow. I think it has to go through the central brain for them all to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate to think about the way you would conduct that research.
Yeah. I know that we have, again, I'll bring up Megan Holst again, her research with senescence. And if you watch our Q&A video, she talks briefly. I'm going to bring her on because I want her specifically to talk about her research on senescence. But she has this thing that she's created while after the octopus, I guess, lays their egg, or actually as of right now with Octavia at Aquarium of the Bay, she has this little almost like filament, and it's easily and she can tell the pressure of it. She'll do a better job of explaining it, I swear. And so she kind of touches the sucker with it to see how much pressure it's exerting back. And as that octopus goes, through later on in its life, and it goes through senescence, she's still gonna be measuring a lot of different things and observing a lot of different things to see if she can have a conversation or figure out about what that pain is, or if octopuses experience pain. So it's really interesting, the work she's doing. Again, I'll bring her on and she can talk about it. But there's a lot of researchers, and if you guys know of anybody in the nation, if you know of anybody that's doing really cool research, or you follow a PhD researcher on cephalopods on Twitter, tell them, hey, you should jump on OctoNation and have a conversation, because the more I can share their work and the more support that they have for the work that they're doing, the more we can get the information to you. So it all works like that. Rampart says, what is the name of the turtle book?
Oh, I haven't written it yet. But I'm so glad. I mean, actually, Nat and I are working on two of them, and one is tentatively titled The Turtle Book. That will mostly feature his art. And the other book, which I've barely begun to research, but I hope to be able to embed in groups that are helping turtles.
Yeah.
protect nests and take care of turtles who've been hurt, and also learn about turtles around the world, but kind of like Soul of an Octopus, get to know the people and the animal characters by seeing them again and again, week after week after week. And right now that's tentatively titled Travels in Turtle Time.
Nice. We're excited about that. But let's ask the real question, Sy. Do you have any plans to write Soul of an Octopus 2 or another octopus book where you go deeper into the consciousness of the animal?
Boy, I tell you,
that's what the nation wants to know. For real, we're like, we love turtles. Turtles are great.
Yeah.
You know, give us more octopus.
To. Well, you know what? If we, as a group, if OctoNation does a book of octopus stories by octopus keepers and octopus lovers, I will happily write forward.
Ooh, okay. You heard it here first, everybody. And thank you for throwing the responsibility on me, Sy, to project manage that and make it happen. So you heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. We have a question from Andy Baker, which says, fun question. If you could name an octopus for yourself, what would you name him or her?
Oh, wow. Well, maybe Thales, after Thales of Miletus, pre-Socratic Greek philosopher. The Greeks like octopus often on their plates, but it's his saying that kind of encapsulates for me why octopuses are so glorious, that they show us that the universe is on fire with life, and that there are many gods.
That's amazing. Mine would probably be Cicalia, only because I'd want to explain what Cicalia meant every single time somebody asked.
Can you explain for us now?
Yes. It is the merfolk, so it's half octopus, half woman. It's kind of what Ursula was in The Little Mermaid. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I love when the Cicalia is depicted in art, especially when it's depicted in a way that she's just an everyday, person, like not in a like malicious way, but just this is their life of Cicalias, just out there swimming. And because I really feel like if we could make, I don't know, Little Mermaid again, but the main character be a Cicalia, half octopus, half woman.
Wow.
How amazing that would be. And I know that in the future, when OctoNation is even bigger than it is now, I know we're already inspiring. A lot of our underwater photographers don't understand at which the magnitude that they're inspiring artists all over the world to create more. Just this past week, Merrick, who does these beautiful portraits, they almost look like movie posters featuring a species in the center. I'll send some to you, Sy. And
great.
I post those, or he posts those in the group, and I share them to the page, and I also share them to our Instagram account. And there are artists, like people that do acrylic painting. There are people that do sculptures. There's people that are recreating his art and pushing it out there into the world and introducing these species to everybody, their followers. And the cool thing is when you have other people that are passionate or that are creating, the people that follow them are trusting and are loving of them. And so they start getting curious, like, what fascinates you about this animal? And then they start learning, and then all of a sudden it's this ripple effect, kind of like with Soul of an Octopus, this ripple effect of inspiration and admiration. And it's fascinating what happens when you get more people creating amazing things surrounded by octopus. So Kim says, do you have any octopus memorabilia in your home? So do you want to bring some stuff to the camera?
Well, I've got I got a few. I have my handy suckers always at the ready. I have my friend who's here on my desk. I have, you know what I'm going to show you? I'm going to show you one of my real treasures. Hold on just a second.
I love your shirt, by the way, Sai.
Oh, thank you.
Look at that. So cool.
This is one of the coolest things. I have, thanks to Bill, an octopus beak.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, I actually have two. One of them is actually it's in formalin, but can you believe that this thing is in an octopus's mouth, which is in its armpits? It's unbelievable. I don't know how well people can see this, but it's just like a beak, like a parrot.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of my very favorite things that I have. And we have octopus art on the walls.
Oh, yeah.
I have some octopus. Oh, Thurber was playing.
I have her book right here.
Oh, yeah.
I also have your
Thurber
other book.
Was playing with him this morning.
How to Be a Good Creature. I have to throw that in there. The cool thing about octopus beak, you were seeing, showing it off a little bit, but one of the things that fascinated me was, for the longest time, I didn't know that an octopus had a tongue. Let's talk about the tongue. Yeah, so it's kind of like this ribbon-like tongue, right? And it's almost like a cat tongue. So it has all these rasps on it that it uses to break apart food and move it down into its digestion system. But just like a shark can lose its teeth, an octopus on that radula, which is what it's called, can the little rasps can break off, but they grow back. And so if you've ever felt a cat's tongue, I don't know if anybody of you have, but it's this rough texture. And so an octopus has like a ribbon-like tongue behind its beak to bring that food in. So that was another fascinating thing. And that's when I go and teach in classes to kids, those are the kind of things that I tell them to start getting them more interested. Because if you can have a kid recall information like that. So say that they're sitting at the cafeteria table and somebody brings up, an octopus or something. Another kid could say, "Do you know that it has a tongue like a cat?" What? And they're going to go fact check it. They're going to be like, "No, it doesn't." Yeah, it does. So if we can get them speaking in such like simple terms or whatever, it doesn't have to be perfect. But that's where it starts. And I was telling Sai the other day that another thing that I do, and if you're an educator as well, or someone who's an educator, and they teach about the octopus, it's funny the way they kind of go number two, how they poop, right? And so what I did in the class was I was like, "Do you guys want to know how an octopus poops?" And of course, all the kids were like, yeah, tell us how an octopus. And so I was like, okay. And so I got out silly string and I started spraying the class with silly string. And then I showed them a video of what that looks like. And so I told Sai, I was like, I don't know if I traumatized them or if they're just forever inspired. But I'm hoping that when they see silly string, they're like, that's just like octopus poop. So it's just a fun way, like I said, to get kids involved. Because, they have to be doing something at all times to really be interested. And so I was telling them how octopuses exfoliate their suckers too. So I don't know if you've seen the Sai, but when they do this with their arms, and they'll like exfoliate their suckers, and
it looks like they're a can dancer with their frilly undies that they're I love when they do that.
So they move their arms around. It's like all 8 of them. They just start moving around their body. They look like whatever. It looks like it might be like they're turning on a car wash or like they're a self-cleaning machine or whatever. And what happens is they have this outermost layer on their sucker, and it's called a chitinous cuticle. So very much like we have kind of like fingernails that protect the ends of our fingers, octopuses have this like chitinous cuticle that protects. It's called sucker lining or whatever, but it grows out. And so if they ever want to improve their taste of smell, their grip on the substrate, the ocean floor, or anything like that, then they start doing this maneuver that just exfoliates that sucker skin. And Bill knows about it because he has to clean that tank, right? Floating lily pads are all, dancing around the tank, and he has to go through. You have to clean them all out. But it's fascinating how they do that. So yeah, somebody said I'd never thought about octopus poop. But anyways, I have the kids do this. And so they're all in the class and they're moving around and they're doing this. And then I show them a video of how the octopus takes a bath. I'm like, the octopus takes a bath just like you do. And so it's really fun. And to see them after the class, they're just like, the octopus is my favorite animal. Oh my gosh, the octopus. And it's so amazing to see them do that. But we have been on for quite some time, Sy.
Yeah,
Let's
quite
get
people have.
two or three more questions, and we still have tons of people on. They love this, and like I mentioned um, earlier on, I love that we could bring you on, and I love that you said yes because I feel
How
like
can I not say yes? Oh my gosh, who gets to address the nation?
but I feel like this is exactly what the world needs right now. Is yes, there's all this crazy stuff going on, but there are animals in the ocean. There are animals all around. There are animals in aquarium, and we mentioned at New England Aquarium they're closed right now. And so neaq.com or .org/give is where you can go and you can support New England Aquarium, the place where the soul of an octopus was featured in, and really help them out, help out their aquarists, help out them, the employees there, the animals still need to eat, and so definitely go to neaq.org/give.
And keep the conservation conversation going.
Yeah.
Because even when we don't have visitors, we're getting the message out to people just like you are that we still have to protect our ocean, and our ocean needs real guardians right now.
And yeah, I know we're going to try to go live with New England Aquarium too to meet the octopus and have a conversation with Bill. So we're excited about that too. Yeah. So everyone, just love you, Colin Miller. We love you, Sy. Andy says, what is the most interesting interaction you've had because of the publication of your book? So what have you gotten to do as a result of Soul of an Octopus hitting the New York Times bestseller list?
Oh, wow. Well, what's fabulous is that it's given me like carte blanche to walk into aquariums and meet their octopuses. It's not exactly carte blanche, but at least I've gotten to meet giant Pacific octopuses around the country, which is fantastic. I got to meet one who was living at the National Aquarium,
Mm-hmm.
and pet him. I got to meet a male and a female, Theo and Cleo, out in Orna. And one of them, Cleo, had this amazing setup that you had a great view of the entire octopus. And
Mm-hmm.
Cleo was super, super friendly. Theo, for his exhibit, that was, see, Cleo wasn't really on exhibit, she was behind the scenes. But Theo was on exhibit. It was hard to kind of get in so that you could interact with him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was so eager to interact with me. His arms just came right up, and he really wanted to cuddle. And that's just so great to be able to meet these octopuses all around.
I would say that's a perk too of OctoNation is us having the platform to assist with nonprofits and aquariums and people that are looking to get the word out about these amazing creatures and that's a reason that I created OctoNation, was not just for nonprofits at aquariums, but it was also for artists. There were a lot of artists that I felt like that were doing amazing woodwork, amazing acrylic paintings, sculptures, bronze work.
Oh, yeah.
You have Chris Barella out in Hawaii who does these like 200-pound bronze octopus tables that have this beautiful patina on them, and the arms go up like this, and they hold this glass top. And I was just like, more people need to know about his work. What can, And so it's cool that we get to bridge, education. We get to bridge art. We get to bridge, the research that's being done, and bring everyone together. But going live at aquariums and doing Interview with an Octopus, I would say one of the biggest or the coolest things is giving a platform to people that have taken care of the octopus at their aquarium for decades, and finally getting to interview them and spotlight them and honor them on live, and just to see the way they light up, to see the way they care about these animals. That's why when there are people that come into the group, or if I see like a review on like your book about octopus in captivity, I go, if you only had the recollection of these conversations, if you only could see the love, the admiration, the respect, their ability to inspire kids, future generations, to really love this animal and to be intrigued by it and to be curious about it, like you delete your comment as fast as you could, because it's magic. And I think we need more of that positivity, more of that understanding, that curiosity in the world. And I really feel like your book is that start of that, is that ignited in a lot of people that torch to like carry on, through research, through art, through OctoNation, through whatever, to really keep people fascinated and keep people positive and to keep people productive, inspired, empowered, and to not ever dip into this disempowering language, this I'm the only person, it's just me, I feel like I'm the only person who cares, but look at all of this going on, the pollution, corporations are to blame, all of this. You can get into that negative spiral, and it's really easy to fall into it, especially if you turn on the news, and especially if you stay there for longer than an hour. You think, why is anybody doing anything? You can get very like nihilistic. But as soon as you turn into something that's, okay, like, how can we turn this into a productive conversation? How can we be more productive? How can we be more empowering? How can we educate? You can change the conversation. And so I did that with...
Well, done it today.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. All the people who have come from the nation to talk with us today, to ask questions, to think about octopuses, to celebrate our ocean.
Mm-hmm.
They've been spending that time doing that instead of just getting scared to death thinking about coronavirus.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty insane.
This has been just the most uplifting time being with you and getting a chance to stretch our arms out, broaden our three hearts. I'm just so grateful for this time we've had together.
I mentioned, I think I said it in the thing, I didn't put in those, but I have this squid hat. I don't know if you guys want to see this. It's pretty amazing. But
it is excellent.
Sometimes I'll wear this. Kids can't get enough of this, especially I went live the other day wearing one of this, and I took it off, and there was a mom that was watching with her 1-year-old, and she said, can you put that hat back on? My 1-year-old just started crying. Like, you need to put the hat back on. And so I was just like, okay. I was like, the hat's going back on.
That's great.
We said, Pablo said, exciting outreach, Warren. Just ordered 2 of your books, Sy.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And Hillary Crane says, donated to neaq.org/give. Come on, nation. So, guys, and I understand, like, time is crazy. The time is crazy right now. I mean, even if it's $1, I mean, even if you have $1 that you could go to neaq.org/give, and it'd be $1. You can give $8. Be really clever about it. I think they have recurring donorships there, but definitely support the work at New England Aquarium. And if there's a local aquarium towards you that you have an affinity for, definitely they need your help too. Feel free to reach out to them as well, and either renew your membership. That's another thing that you can do for New England Aquarium, or if you have plans later this year to go to one of those aquariums, get a membership online. There's tons of things that you can do now to support them while they're in need. Hey, Thurber, what's going on?
He wants to go on the WALK.
Oh, he does? He's like,
yes,
Mom.
time.
He's like,
he has some kind of an internal clock. He totally knows.
Yeah. So we'll let you get to that. We just have, I think, a couple. Let's see. We said. Let's see. Fern says, if it wasn't already asked, what do you think about the idea of a separate consciousness in each arm?
I think that is so intriguing, and I often wonder, what is the animal's sense of self in that way? But I have heard it said that octopuses have some shy arms and some bold arms, and the bold arms are the ones in the front, which makes sense, and the shyer ones are in the back. Yeah. But it's interesting, when you think about multiple personality disorder, which is called something else, dissociative disorder or something like that. Really, what it is it's kind of like an exploded giant version of what we all in the normal range experience. Because even if you're an outgoing person, there's times and situations in which you are shy. This could be the case with octopuses, just made larger, but it's like a normal thing for them. I love thinking about that. It really it really expands our consciousness.
It is. I mean, it's crazy to even
To
consider.
yeah,
I mean, the way I kind of envision it, the way I explain it to kids is I say, imagine you're sitting on the couch and you're watching cartoons, and you tell your arm, say, hey, I'm watching cartoons, arm. Can you just go find the remote? Because I don't have time to go find the remote. Like
right.
I'm watching these cartoons, and the arm just goes. Oh, wait, so I'll use this one. The arm just goes, slithers away, and it's just like, okay, I'll take care of it. You keep on watching. It's more important for you to keep watching, this cartoon than it is to worry about the remote. So I'll go find the remote. You keep watching TV. And so, but they have 8 of those arms, right? And so, like it was mentioning those separate consciousness. I think, and this is just me, kind of just based on watching them, is I do believe that depending on each arm's maybe individual learned, experience or what it has gone through, that maybe there are certain arms that are hunting arms, like that are like, okay, I got this, I'm gonna go hunt, and other arms that are like, I'm gonna stay back here, I'm gonna watch, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna keep my arms back here just in case something comes up to us, we can shoot away this way, so that they're all kind of working together to make this happen. Because like I said, octopuses have 360 degrees of predators around them. Their
Yes.
eyes, like I said, they have those horizontal pupils. They have panoramic vision. They have no blind spot. So, and the ones that have eyes up on stalks can literally see 360 degrees around their whole entire surroundings. And so, it's just a fascinating. I mean, I could sit here forever and talk about that, but Thurber needs to go out. It, but we'll definitely.
Well, let's look at what's important.
We'll
Wishes of the border collie.
I know, right? The Border Collie runs the show there. Thanks to all the viewers who have donated to the New England Aquarium. So thank you all. Again, NEAQ, and we'll put it in the comment section, .org/give.
Fabulous. Thanks so much.
And let's see. Colin said that hat had its own consciousness. I can tell. Kimberly says, I need to go to the New England Aquarium. You do. I remember one of my first trips there was actually, I don't think I've told you the story, but I remember when I was on the way to meet you, and I was a nervous wreck because here I had such a profound respect for you and love. Like I always tell people, like, you're the like Beyonce of octopus, octopus people. And so when people don't know who Sy Montgomery is, I'm like, are you not an octopus fan? Because all of us octopus fans, like, Sy is our queen, right? And and so I was like, what should I get her? What should I get her? Like, what? And I was like, I went to this card store. I think it was like a Love Pop or something like that. And it was like one of those 3D cards. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
And
that has been up on our table for ages and ages and ages, and I finally took it down. And how many years were you there? You came in 2015.
Yeah. But I was sitting there in the gift shop, and I asked them, I was like, do you guys have a pen that I could write with? I was in the New England Aquarium gift store, and so I started writing. I was like, what do I even say to her? And I was like, I don't even know what to say, like how much she means to me, or whatever. And it was just like I just remember being a nervous wreck. And then I got the ability to meet your namesake, Sy, the giant Pacific octopus, with you, Sy Montgomery, the author of Solve Octopus.
That was so great.
And I was like, this is never going to happen again. Like, this is the coolest, like, this is historic for me. And I just remember after that day, it just solidifying, yes, I'm doing the right thing. It was just, like I said, it was just one of those moments where I was just like, this is amazing.
It was a really special day for me. I will never forget it. I'm so glad that we're friends. It's such a blast.
Elizabeth says NEAQ is closed right now, but check out the virtual content they post every day at neaq.org/blog. Awesome. Well, this was a treat. Thank you so much, Sy. Really appreciate you for coming on live. Obviously, this live is also benefiting New England Aquarium, where the soul of an octopus, there's a lot of stories in there about the New England Aquarium. So if you can, neaq.org/give would be great. Any last minute remarks you want to say to the nation during this crazy time?
Well, know that you're not alone, that we are all connected, and Remember all the superpowers that the octopus has, but this world has healing in it, it has magic in it, it has fire in it, and the proper response is exactly what you are doing, to reverence this world.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And everyone, you have a great rest of your day. Hillary Crane says, thank you, Warren and Sy. We got Colin in the house. Just a lot of outpouring of love for you. So Andy Baker says, thank you both for your work. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank everyone who gave during the live stream. I'll put the link in the comment section just so you can click it to get to it. And thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk with you soon.